Yeah, it's safe to say Paddy Andrews doesn't agree with Adrian Barry's assessment of the Kerry Mayo game. To get more on that now and the football championship and maybe some of the rules as well, I'm delighted to say David Clarke is with us this morning. David, good morning to you. How are you?
Morning, man. How are you?
Yeah, good. That was pretty interesting at the weekend, you know. I'm not sure anybody had a 5-point win for Mayo, and it wasn't really just a 5-point win. It was like good performances all over the field, tactically very adept, a proper identifiable game plan, some players playing better than we've seen them play in a couple of years. You have to be excited if you're a Mayo fan.
Yeah, I suppose still have that maybe that warm feeling on a Wednesday morning after a weekend like that. Expectations gone through the roof. But I know, realistically, yeah, it's great. As you said, you've named it out there. You could see what Mayo were trying to do. Going back to the week before the game, Kevin McStay set it out plainly enough. Really, he goes, Mayo are going to bring a lot of aggression to the game. It wasn't anything about tactics. It wasn't anything about too fancy. That's the type of talk, because after the Roscommon game, there was a feeling. Mayo probably didn't get to the pitch of the game. They didn't get in their faces. They didn't push up high enough up the pitch. But it was all different against Kerry. And with that, then I suppose you've seen the very best of Mayo, pressing high, real runners from all over the pitch, great energy. And I suppose just one thing Paddy touched on there in that last clip is you don't know if a team is hungry or not until you get onto the pitch. And was in the first about 2 or 3 seconds, Aidan O'Shea and Paddy Clifford clashed together. And there was only one winner there, and I suppose that's the storm. For me, you could see that Aidan O'Shea was in a frame of mind that he was going to cause a bit of damage, and from there, I suppose things took off lovely. It's a testament, I suppose, really to Kevin McStay. The fellas that he brought back into the team, I know there was injuries against Roscommon, but he's shown real faith, I suppose, starting to Colm Reape in goal. He said it stalled out at the start of the year. He said it stalled out at the start of the year that Colm was his man, David McBree in full back, Jack Coyne, give him with some real important roles. Conor Loftus, centre back. Again, really stuck with him. He said, "That's the role for you, Conor. We're going to get you involved there." And then up front, James Carr came back into the team and had a great impact as well. He brings something different to the Mayo team. But yeah, all positive stuff, and it's looking good for us.
That's probably what we said after the Roscommon loss, David, as well, that look, maybe this time off and time away, whatever it was, 5 or 6 weeks, could be good for Mayo. And as it turned out, I mean, Kevin McStay let the lads go off for 2 weeks, maybe got a bit of sun and then back into the training. So do you think that had an impact, the rest, I guess, in comparison to the Kerry team?
Not sure if it's the rest, I suppose. Maybe after being at a high after winning that league final, it was difficult maybe to lower down and get back up to a certain level that's needed for championship football against Roscommon. I suppose that step away, as I said, there was a slight break. We played a club game. 2 or 3 of the Ballina lads came back and played that game with us, and then they went back into camp. But I suppose they were able to get a couple of these lads fit. Some of these under-20s, Donegan McHugh, Sam Callanan, they were back in the frame again. And as always, when you do have that long break, some of the players come out of the pack. Pádraig O'Hora hadn't played a whole pile. I know he had injuries during the year. He hadn't played a whole pile. And Jason Doherty, he was only playing cameo roles coming in as centre back, and he was trusted. It was a kind of a wing forward position, because I suppose he deserves a huge amount of credit, because he's had an unbelievably tough couple of years with cruciates and different serious injuries. So two boys came out of the pack, and they were trusted with jobs. But I suppose it freshened up. And that question about hunger, I suppose it's that great thing about sport. It's not maybe so much about what you're hitting in GPSs. It's how do you measure that hunger. And I suppose last year Mayo got 2 trimmings from Kerry, and deep down Mayo had that inside them. Kerry, I suppose they were trying to talk up the league game in Castlebar this year, that they felt they didn't do themselves justice that day. But I suppose in the back of their minds they got 2, I suppose, comprehensive enough victories earlier on. Last season. So maybe there was that feeling that it was going to be something similar. But I suppose that hunger, and I suppose it is that unbelievably great thing about sport. If you can get that inside you, sometimes it's impossible to know if you have it until you get onto the pitch. But Mayo definitely had it on at the weekend.
It seems the other thing, so you've kind of talked about players coming back from injury there. The other thing they've managed to do is blood a number of younger players who have come through successful underage sides in recent years and put them in the team and give them very defined roles, so their responsibility is clear, and there's no doubt about what in their minds about what they need to do, and they appear to be able to do that very well, which is kind of merging the old guard, getting the best out of them by, again, you mentioned Aidan O'Shea, reintroducing the injured players, and at the same time freshening the squad up with youthful exuberance and real pace.
Yeah, it's a real, I suppose, trait of Mayo the last 10, 12 years, if not more. Pace from all over the pitch, and the way, I suppose, James Horan deserves a huge amount of credit. The way he's blooded a lot of these players. Like there's not I don't think any of them that are the first year in the panel. A lot of these lads were there even in my own time, so they're in and around the mix of the panel. Dave McBrien was there in my own time. Jack Coyne was in for a small while in my own time. Jack Kearney has played the last couple of years. Colm Reape was even in last year with James Horan. I think he was there as number 3. So as you go through the team, James Carr's there a good while. Sam Callanan and Donncha McHugh. Sam Callanan was there last year, and Donncha McHugh was there in and around the panel last year as well. So there's that bit of groundwork that was put in that it wasn't all new to them. But as I said, Kevin McStay seen what he liked, and he really went with them. And as you said, he trusted them. And I suppose trust from a manager is great. Like, just gives you confidence that you can have a couple of goes at this. If it doesn't go right the first or second day, you get another shot at it, and then you develop into your game, because it's shown now that these boys are ready, and they've taken those steps forward. And when you've seen the quality of the bench that Mayo were coming with in the last 20 minutes, you've 5-6 lads who are really in a position that would be playing in many people's minds, but they were able to come on and make an impact, which was great, especially around that middle eight, that middle part of the pitch where all that running and hard work is done, and that pace is needed. Maybe we're able to bring on Paddy Durkin there, made a great impact. Enda Hessian, great pace. Stephen Cohen, really calm and control. Owen McLaughlin, aggressive, raw, great finish, classy finish for the goal. But these different angles and runners. But yeah, there's been a great mix of the youth and experience. As you look through the team, I suppose I heard Kevin as well saying before they went down to Kerry that this group see themselves as equals to Kerry, even though there had been them couple of poor defeats last year. But those older, more experienced players, they wouldn't necessarily fear Kerry. And then when you have that from your older players and you have your younger, hungrier lads coming in behind it definitely pushes the team in the right direction.
There does seem to be some kind of template where Lee Keegan, Oisin Mullen are gone, and then it's just like new ones spring up like mushrooms overnight, who are not quite the equivalent yet in terms of athleticism and achievement, but what's in the water off the West Coast, that all of a sudden you've got these fast lads who can run 100 metres 25 times in the first half and then do it again in the second half?
Oh, it's a good question. I don't know, is it maybe that these lads were looking at the team the last 10, 15 years? Some of these lads in their early 20s, so all their football is seen as Mayo being an exciting team, running from the back. And they were some of Mayo's best players, as you said, Lee Keegan, Oisin Mullen, Keith Higgins for years, you had Donald Vaughan, Cullen Boyle. It was their half-back line, and them type of players that really, excited the Mayo public. And maybe it became cool to be that type of player and to have a go at it. But I suppose one thing I remember years ago, Liam McHale is in the coaching ticket there, but he says you can't coach pace. It's you either have it or you don't have it, and it's we're lucky enough that we've fellas that are interested in playing football, and they've got that real pace, and they've decided to throw their lot in with football, because some of them are probably hugely talented in other sports as well, but we're quite lucky that they've come through in that. And we've won ourselves there. Sam Callanan, is phenomenal athlete, is only getting better week by week as an actual footballer. Decision making, always cool and calm.
Still a kid. Really.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, I think I was involved in an under-19 team and with the club, and I think he was still under 18. The time of COVID, he wasn't allowed. Were the adult teams allowed back and the underage weren't, or he wasn't allowed to train with one of them. There's sort of a mix. There was a few months or a month or two when COVID had played some tricks on us, but and then he just shot off. You know what I mean? Had a couple of games with the club, the boys liked him with Mayo with the scene, and he's in there now, and just he's made for it. Fine player, and he's only going to get better, like getting up the pitch, getting his kick passing going. But yeah, really impressive guy as well behind the scenes.
Was it just the case, David, that Mayo got their matchups right and Kerry got theirs wrong? Because I was listening to, you mentioned Colin Boyle there, he was on the show last night, and he was talking about Sam Callanan and how he did such a good job on Seanie O'Shea in that first 45 minutes, as you mentioned. Then Paddy Durkin comes off the bench, and from a Kerry perspective, we said it earlier in the show, but in the league game earlier this year, Jason Foley is marking Aidan O'Shea in the first half. They moved Dylan Casey onto him, and O'Shea has a very good day against Dylan Casey, and all of a sudden they put Casey on him from the start at the weekend, and Aidan O'Shea ends up as man of the match. Was there a number of just mismatches, do you reckon, by management on the Kerry side of things?
I'm not sure if you'd call it mismatches. I think it goes back to that whole thing of getting to the pitch of the game. Like it looked like a lonely place for the full back line there for Kerry. Like there was Mayo. I think one thing that I was really impressed with was the way Mayo when Kerry did get their kind of some ways defensive shape back there, Mayo kept huge width and depth. I suppose these are two buzzwords now in coaching, but they were leaving three lads inside there, and they were keeping real width. So that D was open, and you had Tyke Morley then, he didn't know whether to come out and meet Jack Carney or meet some of the runners or sit back right in front of Aidan O'Shea and then be overrun by runners. So that's I think it's easy just to say that it's the full back issue. Mayo were getting time to kick those little bounce passes or those fist passes into it, at times, and it's a difficult place to be. They didn't get the protection I suppose that Tyke Morley had offered maybe the last season. Like that was one of the key aspects of Kerry's game, getting Tyke Morley back in there covering up that D. But I think it was something I was really impressed with Mayo, that they were able to open up that pitch. They obviously thought about it. It's not a natural thing to do for some of Mayo's players, maybe to nearly stand out of the play, stand on the end line 40 yards the far side of the ball and just occupy a couple of players, same the far side of the pitch, and then you had their runners coming through. So that's something I'm hoping we'll see in the next couple of weeks when teams really do maybe sit back a bit more. Can Mayo work on that? Because that is being talked as maybe a potential issue for Mayo going forward. But some of the other matchups. Sorry,
I was going to say the likelihood is though that they're not going to face too many teams. I mean, maybe some of the Ulster teams might end up in the quarter-final against them, but not too many teams are going to sit back and be that just defensive block and not really try and win the game for the rest of the year for Mayo. That's like the value of this victory, and we've been talking about this a good bit, is they now have games every 2 weeks, all the way up to the quarter-final, assuming that they take care of business against Louth and Cork. Louth is at home in Castlebar, you'd expect them to win that. Cork is going to be at a neutral venue, you'd expect them to win that. And then there's 2 weeks before a quarter-final, and they'll be up against an opponent in that quarter-final who'll have played 3 weeks in a row. It was such a big win.
Yeah, like I felt that before the game. I felt there was an opportunity there for Mayo to take the top seed from Kerry. I've seen before was it Mayo in Super 8 a number of years ago. I was involved and we finished second in the group when you were going in straight away the week after playing Dublin in the quarter final. Like it's a difficult thing to do. You need to be in the full of your health. You need to be refreshed, focused to play some of these top teams who you're going to be meeting at that stage. But I do think in the next couple of weeks there is going. I don't know. Are Louth and Cork going to go man to man with Mayo? Maybe they will, but there will be opportunities, I think, for them to sit back and that will see another side of Mayo. Can they break that down? But I've no doubt that they should be able to get through those games. But I'd like to see some learnings as well, because down the line there is going to be a stage when we're not going to hit our conversion rate like we did the last day. It was really high. And we're going to be able to see, can we manage a game when a team is going to sit back on us? And I could just see something happening there the last day. I suppose Kerry, it's probably not their ideal style of play, but I could definitely see Mayo trying to work something, and I was, I suppose, surprised, and not surprised. I was impressed by that.
Yeah, in fairness,
it's a huge step for Mayo.
And look, there could be Tyrone, there could be Monaghan, there could be Armagh in a quarter final. I mean, maybe it's Galway in a quarter final. We shall see how Galway and Armagh get on against each other. That's maybe the last one that's kind of still up for grabs in terms of those first seeds. Can I just ask you about Kerry? Right, like, there's concern in the Kerry pundits that there's just a hangover from last year, and that you can't talk yourself out of it. But if any team is capable of doing it, there is history for Kerry to have trickiness in an early part of a season, and for them to recover. If they are going to recover, what would need to happen in your view?
I suppose the last time I nearly gone back to Mayo. They didn't hit the pitch of the game against Roscommon. They probably had a good talk about themselves and they said, this is what we need to bring. I've no doubt Kerry can bring up another couple of levels, intensity wise, mindset wise. I'd imagine the next couple of games they'll get through them, and then will they have that hunger? I suppose they probably want I think they want a real tough game at that stage when they get to this preliminary quarter final. I'd say they love the toughest one they could get to really focus their minds. It's been a difficult enough season for them when you look at it. I suppose, was it a third of their team, if not more, were away with club action? They were late coming back into the league. Jack O'Connor was saying from early out, 6 points, we stay up. I suppose then he hoped for themselves that they had reset, they went in a training camp, cruised through Munster, that they were going to be ready for this, but obviously that didn't happen. And it's I still definitely wouldn't write them off. I think that they are. It's been said maybe in some ways that it's a bad thing. They're still essentially the same team that won the All-Ireland last year. David Clifford is still in unbelievable form. Paddy Clifford, the couple of times he got on a couple of balls, he created 2 goal chances. There's probably more in Sean O'Shea. I think, as I said, Mayo's matchups physically and athletically, they were able to match up quite well on them. But there's a lot more in them. Maybe they may have to tweak their plan going forward at the back. Are they going to leave themselves that open, or are they going to meet a team like Mayo that's going to go at them that hard again for a while? So I'd imagine they'll have a big part to play later on the season. And I suppose, unluckily for Mayo, they're not out of the competition because Mayo have this. And the teams I would have involved in as well, you often find you might beat a team like this, but you're still talking 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks until we get to I'm gone out there.
No,
6,
you're
7,
all right.
8, 9 weeks till we come back again. 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks till we get back to a final. So I'm sure there's going to be another dance in the minute with the big boys, and it'll be interesting to see how they can get themselves up to that level again, because I definitely wouldn't write them off anyway.
We can't have you on, David, without asking about the most pressurised position in Gaelic games, the Mayo goalkeeping position, because there's always a lot of pressure on it. But Colm Reape, I think he got man of the match potentially in the league final against Galway, kicked 3 points that day. A few impressive saves in the second half of the weekend. One in particular comes to mind from David Clifford. Have you been impressed with Colm Reape so far? Because there doesn't seem to be a question over the position, I guess, as there maybe had been in the league.
Yeah, no, which is excellent. I think that first 10-15 minutes, Kerry put a bit of a press on him. And I remember my own time down there, it was in 2019, I was looking out, Kerry had a press on me, and I had Adrian Spillane waving for me to kick the ball on top of him. They weren't really after me that day, and I suppose I remember they got the better of me. But Colm Reape, them first 15-20 minutes, he pinged a couple out the wing, out the terrace side, got me out of trouble, was confident going short. When he felt that he needed to go long, he went long. And what was happening, there was no major plan for a break zone, but it was just that raw desire in the middle of the pitch. Jim with O'Connor getting fingertips on top of balls and a break into Mayo men. But I was really impressed with him. His save, a really important time in the game. I think Mayo had hit about, in a period there, Mayo had 3 wides and Kerry had a couple of goal chances. And that was an exceptional save. Positioning was got down quick. I was trying to watch it back on the replay, and I think David Clifford hit the ball so quick you could barely even see what it hit. He just rebounded out so quick. So he got down really well. Yeah, he's been excellent, in fairness to him. That league final performance, the amount of saves he made, is really, I suppose, cemented his position in the team. It showed really, I suppose. Sorry,
was he always a goalkeeper as a kid now the whole way through?
I think he played. I remember he was one of the top scorers in the league for Knockmore. In his early, maybe 20s, he would have played outfield for Knockmore. He was a free taker, full forward. But I think he would have played soccer in goal. His father would have been a goalkeeper. He was on the Knockmore team that got to a Club All-Ireland. So, he definitely had goalkeeping in him. I suppose some people thought when he came, I think he had to be really, not forced, but he was nearly asked to come back for playing goal for Knockmore a couple of years ago by Ray Dempsey, and they went on and won a couple of county titles. So he hadn't been playing in Knockmore consistently up to maybe 3-4 seasons ago when he got consistently playing. But he's really bought into it. Even physically, like he's fit, he's strong, he's kicking. He's a lovely little strike of a ball. A couple of steps. Didn't go over for him the last day, but there's no problem with distance, and that's another weapon for Mayo. But and some interesting stuff as well. When I was looking, like, I know that the thing from the opposition kick-out is coming up on the 45, but even as the opposition is coming up the pitch, he's kind of playing as a sweeper in line with the top forward on the opposition. So as they look up that crossfield ball, he's often cutting that out. There was one good example. I think it was Graham O'Sullivan was coming up the terrace side, and he looked up, and there was like David Clifford on the 21, and inside him was Colm Reape. So he's cutting off that crossfield ball, and the ball went down the wing, and Mayo turned it over and went up. So there's something happening there. I think Gary Matthews, who was involved with Dublin a number of years ago, he's come in as goalkeeping coach this season. So he's probably has an influence on that. And in fairness to him, everything he's been asked to do, he's doing top class. And an important save like that is only going to build his confidence even more. I think, in fairness to Kevin as well, in my own time there was a lot of swapping and changing. I suppose he gave everybody a look at the league, but you could see from early on that he liked the look of Fulham. I suppose maybe his club championship form, and that again I suppose would only build confidence, and he's been rewarded with that, so deserves a bit of credit.
We touched this morning, David, on the introduction of this new trial in higher education football of the kick-out. So the kick-out must go beyond 45 metres before the defending team or the goalkeeper's team can touch the ball. I guess they just want more contests and midfield battles under the high ball. What do you make of this new rule from a goalkeeping perspective, I guess?
Might make it easier as a goalkeeper.
Well, yeah, just launch
less pressure in the short one. Launch it and hope for the best. It is at times more enjoyable, but I suppose if you do that, sure, next thing the teams will be setting up and giving you the ball on your own 45, and they'll all be back already at the opposite 45. But you could see when the ball was kicked long at times in the last game, a break either way, and it's that set defence is not there. It was a bit more enjoyable to watch. But I don't know, did they try that a number of years ago as well? When I was playing myself years ago in FBD. It'll be worth a try, I suppose, but I suppose so many changes. I didn't think the game was bad the last year. It was interesting to see what the teams are doing with kickouts. Both teams were pressing for a period after half time. Kerry sat back. Did it really make much of a difference to the game?
No.
I think it brings a bit of enjoyment to it, a bit of tactical, mystery to it as well, the way teams are going after teams' kickouts. But it is enjoyable to see the ball be kicked down the middle now and again, and you could see that from both teams that they were willing to do that. But I think that's coming naturally in the last couple of seasons. Teams are more willing to kick it out. You seen Tyrone a number of years ago. That was where some of their best scores from. Kicking that ball on. Getting
they won All Ireland doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So I think it is coming. I don't think we need to force it too much, but it'll be interesting, I suppose, to see how it goes. And but I just be fearful that the way the team set up, if they wanted to give it to you on the 21, I've no doubt to let you win it on your own 45, and they'll drop back even further. And I don't know, that's not going to be a great spectacle,
No, you got to be careful what you wish for. David, good stuff. Thanks a million for joining us.
Okay, man. Good to see you.
It's Dave Clarke there, giving us his thoughts on the weekend's football.